Welcome back to Making Video Your Business with Megan 18. Now, if you work in the property industry, you'll probably know this lady's face because she's a little bit social famous for TikTok, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. That's kind of where it started.
Well, I remember I think the first time I ever met you was at an Arla gig down at Excel, and Chris Watkin was like, "Oh, see that lady there? She's big on TikTok," and we were like. We spoke about it in training before. Should agents use TikTok? And this was probably 2-3 years ago now. And I think you've proved that there is a space for that in the industry, right?
I think we were all a bit too scared to go out on like a massive public platform because we're all scared of being told we're terrible people. And I think that's where people just get frightened. I think you've got to look at TikTok in two different ways. Okay. So you've got business TikTok and then you've got personal TikTok. So my personal TikTok is just like dog videos, how to fold laundry to fit it all in your drawers.
They do some like ninja t-shirt
so
folding.
Good. Honestly, my folding skills have never been better. I love dog videos, obviously.
How did your journey start?
What?
Like, I know you used to be at Haslam's, now you're at Location, which is like, I mean, from what I've never had any dealings with you guys business wise, but talking to people in the industry, like literally one of the best estate agents, right?
Yeah.
I know that's probably
obviously I'm biased.
Yeah, of course. But what's it like going from, you were super successful at Haslam's, you'd run all the training, didn't you?
Yeah, so I did a bit of all sorts at Haslam. So I've always been a lettings person and salesperson, actually, to be fair, all through my career. Went to Haslam's, I redid all their tech, did all the training, and then kind of got to the end of it and was like, well, there's not really that job sort of done. I sort of did it. I've done it. Sort of
completely.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then I sort of hadn't really started looking for a job, but started getting a couple of opportunities. I was obviously letting off like a pheromone.
Yes. I might be available.
I may be available. And then Vicky, I rung her off the back of a job offer and was like, what do you think? And she was like, I think you should come do that for me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was an option. Yes, please.
What was it like going into an already successful, like rock star company type thing, knowing that you're probably going to make your own mark and sort of do great things, but like they get big props in the industry, especially Vicky and Assad, like, you know, amazing people and clearly do everything well, but you think you can add to it as well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was terrifying. It was. Do you know what the worst part for me is? Where my name had sort of built a little bit. Sometimes that breeds a little bit of resentment within people.
Yeah.
So and some people are really cool about it and some people aren't. And I actually said to Vicky, because I came and did some filming before we announced it, so we didn't tell anybody that I was joining, because they wanted me to join on the 18th of April because they wanted to make it Megan 18 Day.
Love that. I remember seeing the balloons.
Yeah, which was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
so
quite
cool.
the welcome, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I literally pulled her. I was like, I think we should downgrade this. And she was like, why? I said, because it's all well and good putting it out there, but the team, they're gonna be like, who is this girl? Like, she rocks up, Megan 18 Day. I was like, come on, like, you're literally setting me up to fail.
That's a fair point, actually.
And so I was really conscious that I didn't want to come in and be all like, it's me.
More power to you, though, that you've got that humility about you. And
well, it's all hype, isn't it? So I had the conversation with like Vicky, and she was like, yeah, that's not what it's like here. And I was like, no, but, and she was like, no, I'm telling you.
So you're talking about the culture, right?
And actually what had transpired, so when we had our first like mindset training, what had come out was that actually they were using previously my TikToks as training for them. So
they knew you anyway.
So it was
the
kind
rest
of
the
like
team.
Actually we kind of all had like a real mutual respect for what
Yeah,
they represent and what I represented, and so it actually became like a really nice collaboration.
How do you generate that culture? I know you haven't generated it, but you're part of it.
Yeah,
now.
for us, it starts with the right people, because if you haven't got the right people in the mix, then the rest of it's irrelevant, really. And part of our biggest problem is finding those people.
Yeah.
You know, so for example, we were recruiting recently for a property manager.
Can't find one.
Literally
thought there'd be
met
people looking.
some lovely people, really experienced, gave all the usual we fit, just weren't a culture fit for us.
Really?
Honestly, we met so many people, we saw so many CVs. It was a lot,
isn't it? Yeah, because it's going to end up in the long run causing you way more problems than having that gap in the business.
Yeah.
Isn't there? Temporarily, albeit.
And like often we'll go to events, and at the end of it, me and Vicky will be sat, or me and Assad, and we'll be, on the way back, and one of us will be like, oh, so and so, yeah, that's a Lockie. So like it's almost like I don't know, for us, it's almost like a personality type.
Yeah,
So you don't
yeah.
need to teach somebody to just open the door when someone comes with a pushchair, because that's what
we do
that's
naturally.
one of those things that we would all do naturally.
Yeah.
I think that if you saw a lady trying to get through a door with a pushchair, you would stand up and open the door.
Well,
I don't need to teach you.
it is a bit of a natural ingrained thing. Yeah.
I don't think it's something. So certain aspects of being a lockie, as we call it, it isn't necessarily taught. It's already part of you. You've got to have the right mindset. You've got to want to
Yes.
grow. You've also got to want to sit there and be like, yeah, no, I messed up. I did this. I did wrong. I could do better.
But I bet
Because
they don't play the blame game.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's none of that. It's
yeah.
very much like, no, I take that on the chin. That was me. I didn't
and
do that.
More power. I mean, we said this in the office the other day that I know some people that struggle to apologise, but I've often find if you, as an adult, apologise pretty damn quick when you know you're in the wrong, and let's face it, you've got to be self-aware to know that, I suppose. But it really diffuses the situation. If you genuinely mean it and look someone in the eye and say, "Dude, I really messed up there. It's my bad. I'll stay late. I'll do whatever it takes to sort it out." People respect that, and you can move on quite quickly, rather than that elephant in the room where no one's taking responsibility. So in a recruitment way, would you say, and it's just dawned on me there, that you would rather, I say would rather, but you're constantly recruiting, a bit like Richard Branson and Virgin, like we're always open to cool, new, super skilled people coming into the business. And then you three guys might individually meet someone at an event and go compare notes in the car and go, that guy was amazing, right? And you go, yeah, I thought, and then, not that you're going around poaching people, but that's a great way of sort of doing that initial filtering of CVs and stuff.
We've just employed a chap actually, and he came to us and we were like, no, you're not ready. He came back, no, you're not ready.
Wow,
came back,
okay.
Now you're ready.
And he went away and worked on stuff.
Learned, took everything on board. That's important. And actually, to a level, that's how I ended up there.
Of course, because I guess you knew Vicky beforehand.
Well, Vicky was my mentor from my On Agents Together.
So you've had some in-depth conversations anyway.
Yes. So
did you get now the sense, now you are working with those guys, that you were occasionally being slightly interviewed?
No, do you know what? We both said, so actually, during the time that Vicky mentored me, she was actually recruiting for a lettings director,
right?
And it never ever was never a conversation.
No,
it just wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, I suppose that's not what you were on the call or whatever to do.
No, it just wasn't. And to be fair, someone even rung me. A recruiter rung me. They're like, "Oh, what this role for you?" And I was like, "She's my mentor. Like, do you not think if we both thought this was an option, we would have had this conversation, we would have cut the recruiter fees out?" So for us it was very much I think it was just naturally, we've got some really exciting things planned out. And so
I bet actually,
so actually for us this was like a really natural time for it.
How is it working with friends?
We respect each other hugely, professionally and personally.
Yeah.
So it's not really like, for me it's effortless, and actually we get to do some amazing things professionally together.
Well, you do.
And then at the end we get to have a laugh.
Research for the show,
obviously.
Great show, mate. But no, one of the most recent videos you probably made that I've seen of you guys, when you went to Battersea Dog and Cats Home.
Oh yeah, it was.
Like, do you have planning time? Did you have it at Haslam's? Do you have it location?
So this is the first business I've ever worked at that takes making content as serious.
It shows. You can see it.
And like, to be fair, our socials at the moment have been, consistently doing really well. So we're delighted. So in terms of kind of planning, we have a marketing meeting once a week, which is an hour. That is specifically for what are we making, and it isn't always content. Obviously, we've got lots of other campaigns, but the Battersea project was really special because it was all around the Renters Reform Bill and the proposing changes to make pets like a mandatory thing. And I was just like, imagine if we could go to a rescue centre. And like,
the biggest one in the country.
I know. Well, I literally thought, right, what rescue centres are there in London? There's not a lot of green space in London.
No,
so there's not a lot of rescue centres. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Battersea. It probably won't. I was like, it probably won't work. They probably will say no. And I really, like, I sculpted the email out. I put like,
you're like,
wow. I've got 10,000, 11,000 followers on TikTok. We've got this on our one. We want this. And then I pulled in the Property Mark side. I was like, we can get the policy team in. Baby. Yeah, absolutely. Plug for Property Mark. So I really didn't expect them to say yes. I was almost certain. So then when they sent an email back the same day saying, can we have a Zoom call? I was like,
Because
Yeah,
I'd assume that they're so big, or they've got so much publicity coverage over the years, they've got like a little media team.
they do.
Oh, they do, right?
They
Okay,
do, yeah.
yeah.
They have a whole social media team and they have a
Wow.
whole other media team. They have
What job that is.
honestly so
Taking
cool.
photos of cute dogs and videos.
Yeah,
And,
oh, it's
yeah.
amazing. And that's honestly the most amazing team down there. So then they said, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, what kind of things do you want to do?" Suddenly I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what
Here's
we're
my
gonna do."
plan.
Yeah. And then I said, "Oh, could we come down to the site and do like a recce?" I just want,
Yeah.
gotta come see
It's
animals.
a cool word.
And we were like, "Oh, this is so cool." Anyway, we were just blown away.
They were super friendly and
They were
come in.
amazing, and they were, and we've had, probably combined best part of 1 million views over
Really?
Instagram across all the videos.
Wow.
They've collaborated it, so it goes onto their Instagram, which was huge for us.
Piggybacking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then obviously we did the collab, so we made sure there was a property mark element to that as well. So we had some sort of serious content, some helpful content,
Yeah.
but content that doesn't die, stuff that is continuously
Evergreen.
helpful.
Yeah.
So for us, that was like the gift that kept on giving. And of course, we had loads of bloopers and
Yeah.
we had loads of fun
particularly
doing
funny,
it. But it was that would be up there. Where that's going to be a really hard one for me to beat.
It is because, I mean, well, you came with dogs today. One
Yes.
stuffed and one real, but
Yes.
like pet lovers down at location
Yeah.
as well. So
Honestly, and then every week now, I go on the Battersea website because bizarrely they keep naming pets and they seem to have the same name as somebody in our business. So I'm like, and this week we've got
really,
this dog and it's named Vicky, and I'm like, so every week I now put a dog or cat on there, but we're now working with them about how we can keep this relationship going.
amazing, right?
So we're hoping to do some more content. We've done a similar thing down at the Hackney Food Bank. That content helps feed the community literally,
yeah.
and all these projects, help the charity, the rescue centre or the Hackney Food Bank, whatever it might be. But equally at the same time, we're getting ourselves like in that community.
Talk about that. So it's Lettings in a nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that at Lettings in a nutshell?
At Lettings in a nutshell.
Yeah. 10,000 followers plus.
Yeah, so we're actually homing on 11,000. So hopefully by the time this goes out,
and is that all pretty organic?
Yeah, it's all organic.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talked about recently at a conference was that actually a lot of people get these bougie video tours, and that's how they get their following going up. Like mine's literally always me. It's just me.
Yeah.
So whilst there's people's accounts grow at rapid rate, mine's been very organic, but people always stick around.
Well, I'd say that say you've got like half that, 5,000 regular on the clock work watchers of your content. I'd rather have those 5,000 like tribal fans than 1 million followers where they're following you because of the bougie house, not because of what you're saying.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's the thing with the bougie stuff is that people they forget often who the person on the camera is.
Yeah. And often that was one of the early things about TikTok is like, well, that's a really nice property tour and that's a lovely £4 million property. But of your, standard age demographic on TikTok, who's buying that at the minute?
Yeah.
I know those guys are obviously, they've gotten older over the time and they're going to be buying houses at some point.
Yeah.
But I guess you're already placed there.
Well, also it's one of the things that we always laugh about in the office is the comments you get on those nice houses. I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah.
And that
does not hold back.
And that is something that whilst I have had my fair share of
trolls,
stuff,
yeah,
not to the level you get on a property tour. My God, these agents that do it on their own and
just get slammed for it.
Brutal.
Well, because keyboard warriors don't.
Well, and also there's not a person because you're just doing this.
Great pose.
So whereas I think that possibly why people feel they can now come and talk to me and they come up to us, it's lovely, it's so kind.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they're like, oh, okay, I feel like I know her.
Yeah, and isn't that? I mean, obviously we don't appear in loads of videos as such, but a lot of people we work with were like, honestly, it works. We often joke you'll get stopped in Sainsbury's or Tesco's going, oh, you're the video guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've met some people in the industry, as in way more over video. And then when I come to see them in real life, you're like, oh, that's them.
I do think that video is super powerful for that. I'm really, really grateful to that because for me, that was helped me get my vice presidency, I think. Yeah.
Isle Property vice president.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a huge campaign online, social media, vote for Meghan, be more corgi. In fact, tell us about corgi and raptor.
So when I did like a management course,
right,
and part of my final exam was I had to do like a a piece, like a presentation, and it like they you know, you learn on your, there was like a whole public speaking section on it, and
Yeah.
we learn about, you know, getting involved, and so I did Be More Corgi. It was slightly different to the Be More Corgi that we did then, but that's where it became. And the cuddly that you met earlier, which
Yes.
we've kindly donated to Chris, is called Brian, Professor Brian Corg.
Classic.
I basically used him to like chuck him out to ask people questions.
Oh, you throw it into the crowd,
yeah, to
catch
ask
it, get the
questions,
mic
yeah.
over.
That was
That's
kind of
cool.
how that kind of began. So when I got asked to speak at the Women in Estate Agency conference, I was like, I've got like a 10-minute slot. How can I bring in some value? They wanted me to talk about personal brand. It was the only way I could think of doing
Of
it.
course, yeah.
So we did consistent, original, relevant, genuine, and interesting. And that if you could be more corgi, like that, and
Take note, guys.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean,
Yeah. So then obviously, but that then sort of became part of the benchmark to my campaign. Not my choice. Other people started doing it, which was amazing because people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, be more corgi," and I was like, "Oh my god, this has gone so out of control." But it does mean that I now can't use that in any form of public speaking now because it's been so used,
hasn't it? So now you've got Be More Raptor,
yeah,
like
so,
Velociraptor.
Yeah, so Be More Raptor came out of the back of how our industry is full of dinosaurs. So how can you be the best type of dinosaur? It was rapport.
Nice.
So you build rapport on using video. You can build rapport with people before you've even met them.
Yeah.
Which means doing, so you know, you turn up to a valuation.
They already know you.
They already know
or
you.
think they do. Yeah.
You're already, you know, 20% ahead of the competition.
Totally.
You know, so rapport, and then A was attention. So grab their attention. You
and
know,
listen to what they're saying.
Exactly. So you know, for example, you know, 30 grand fines. Well, that gets people's attention. You know, no one wants 30 grand fines.
Yeah.
P was passion.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So if you haven't got passion, basically don't do it.
Well, no one will believe you, right?
It would just be crap. So don't do it. T was teach them. So my view is if you teach someone about tax or, you know, furnished v unfurnished, electrical safety legislation, right? We're like hardwired. We're British. We're hardwired to want to return that favor.
Isn't it?
So if I'm sat there and they're going, right, I've got this girl or that guy. Well, yeah, but she gave me so much helpful information. I kind of owe that to her. Therefore, that could be the deciding factor between you and another competitor,
or at least getting you in the lounge.
Well, exactly. And that's almost the hardest part.
Yeah.
But I think that just gives you that slight elevation above everybody else because people kind of owe it back to you.
Yeah.
So RAPT. O was be original because nobody wants to see the same content. One of my biggest bugbears is when I get a text from someone saying, "Saw what you did on TikTok. Do you mind if I copy it?"
Oh, you get that?
Yeah.
From other like content
and I'm like,
creators.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work. If it's not coming from an original place, it won't work for them.
And half the people will probably follow you as well, and they'll see that.
But not even, I just think that if you're not being original and yourself, it doesn't work, does it?
Yeah.
So people see through it. And then the last one was then repeat. So if you're not repeating this process consistently, it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, the originality, which is harder to come up with than, it's not just sitting down every day and go, oh, there's 5 ideas, we'll do that next week. Because you start to saturate what's left, don't you? And there's only, I guess there's an infinite amount of lettings subjects that are ongoing, legislation, so you can always update.
But that's kind of where I got to this year, which is why I then if you look at my TikTok, I massively stepped back from it.
Did you?
So the growth has slowed down hugely this year versus last year. And that's because I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'd like to now work on our business. So now we push all of that, like the Battersea stuff I could have put on mine. We didn't.
Oh, so it just,
I put it straight on there. We collaborated on my Instagram. You can't do that on TikTok. So all that really great content, rather than pushing it through my channels, we've pushed it through the business channels. My choice. But I think for me, like I want to align my brand with that brand. So that's the best way to do that. So next year I'll start to like bring it back through because now we've kind of done that. But yeah, so that's where Be More Raptor came from.
Interesting plan, that actually.
Yeah, I think the thing is like if I win, location win. If location win, I win.
Of course.
So for me, who cares whether the likes on my profile or their profile?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm not here for the likes. I'm not here for the followers. I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
You know?
That is comes through. You could be sitting here today with 10 followers. As opposed to 10,000, you'd still be doing the same content, still be making it genuine. And...
At one point I was.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
At one point it was. God, I remember when I first hit my first 1,000. It was amazing. When I got 100,000 likes, I got 100k balloons.
But have you had people contact you or send you stuff to review?
Yeah, do you know what the weird thing I got was M&Ms with my face on it.
What?
No,
They
so
do
what was even
those?
worse was like it was a big old box. It arrived at the office and I was like, it's so weird. And it had my face on it and it had my name on some of them, and some of them said like TikTok Queen. So my first thought was, oh, it's Chris Watkins because it said TikTok
Yeah,
Queen.
yeah.
So I messaged Chris and I'm like, oh, you know,
Did you
you
send
send these?
these?
And he was like, no, not from me. By this point, everyone's eating them because like I put them out in the office. Everyone's eating my face, and I'm like, who are these from? I literally still don't know who they're from.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
thank God they weren't drugs.
Everyone
Because
just
I
got them in the office.
yeah, I got a pair of trainers with my name on them. I asked for an umbrella the other day from a supplier, and like 5 umbrellas and a whole box of notepads and pens and all sorts arrived. And she was like, "That's power." But like some of the
I
interesting
love
stuff
that.
recently I've had is I've had a lot of like newspapers come
Oh, okay.
directly for PR stuff, which I then tend to feed
Yeah.
back into Property Mark or into
Obviously, your great
LL.
mate Flick Buchanan.
Yes, big
Yeah.
up Flick.
PR goddess.
PR God. But yeah, so like I'll get, so like I had the Sun approach me for like a piece on like tips for renters, tips for sellers. So we did 2
Amazing.
articles on that. But that was all come off the back of, you know,
Yeah.
now how you then choose to channel that into your business is obviously up to you.
Exactly, yeah. If someone's doing what you were going to do 3 years ago and like dip your toe into the water and go, do you know what? I'm going to give, there's a space there for me and I'm going to give that a go. What would be top 3 tips?
I think firstly, just do it.
Yes.
I know that's a pretty boring tip, but really people just
Get it done.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
get it done. I think stop thinking about video as a chore or social media as a chore, and start thinking about it as proper business development and lead generation. I
Great
think
point.
if you change your headspace on it, put time in the diary for planning, time in the diary for filming, and obviously, you know, for those who can edit, time for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that'd be number 1. Number 2, I think people are obsessed with equipment.
Yes.
And what people forget is for a really long time, my TikTok was just me and my hand.
Yeah, just
Like
the phone.
literally like that, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't think like, you know, there's an amazing setup that we've got here. We've got like 57 cameras looking at us, but you know, you don't need that
No,
when you
oh,
start.
I'd
You know,
back
this
you
is
up on that.
amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, people sometimes that intimidates people that they don't have that.
Yes.
So if you are going to make an investment, I think probably my 3 investments I would make would be a ring light. You can get them so cheap on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah.
Just be careful you can't see it in your glasses or your pupils because it looks really cringe.
It does, doesn't it?
Number 2 is if you're going to do a podcast, get a cheap podcast microphone.
Yes.
You can pick them up again on Amazon for like 20 quid.
Indeed.
And again, if you're going to do content that maybe, you know, is informative, a little microphone for your phone.
Yes.
Again, not expensive.
Yeah.
You don't
and you're
need
always ready to go,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And also the quality's clearer. You know, you can do things with it. You can pull that from different ways.
Yes.
So I would say if you're going to make an investment, that's it. And then probably number three, I think don't take yourself too seriously.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? One of the things that people always say to me, they're like, oh, you're just like you are on camera. And it's because you are literally getting me. And I sometimes leave in my blooper just to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is 100% what it's like. It is as chaotic in real life as it
Yeah.
is on
People
camera.
need to know that, right?
Yeah.
It's not this polished.
No.
Yeah.
And like, for me, you can really tell when I've got an auto cue. Don't take yourself too seriously because ultimately, the more you enjoy it, the more other people will.
Yeah. We could probably talk for many
Yeah,
more
well,
hours.
we've already been told off for talking for too long. So
We
I
do
think that's
that
a sign that we
sometimes,
should
yeah.
probably stop.
Look, it's been lovely having you on. This is obviously season 2, but
Yes.
please come back again
I'd
at some
love
point. I
to.
know you're a million miles away down in
Yeah.
Reading, but if you're ever tootling north or just in the general area, like, let's do it again.
I
It's
would
been
love
fun.
to. Thank you for having me.
Lettings in a nutshell, at Lettings in a nutshell. Follow this lady. She will furnish you with educational tips on all things property.